From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 150 of From the Middle. We've been around for a whole lot of shows. We're looking forward to doing a whole lot more. And this week, we introduce a new segment that we've been dying to do, and that is Answers from the Middle. So some of you, many of you, have sent us your questions, your social faux pas stories, and what have you. Sent them our way, and we're going to take some time to go over a few of those with you. We're going to give you our thoughts from the middle, and if you want to be a part of that, you can go ahead and look down the description. You can tag us on social media. You can send us a voicemail or a text at the phone number there. You can send us an email. However you want to do that is perfectly fine with us, and then we will hang on to those. We'll do maybe 2 or 3 of those a week, and we're looking forward to it. And other than that, man, we talk about several other weird topics that is the norm for us. We're talking about Wendy's chicken sandwiches. We're talking about Corey's daughter having her first formal and that whole experience. We're talking about how men greet one another. So guys, stick around. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for 150 episodes, and we're not looking back from here. Roll the music.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
This isn't like the official beer of hockey in the United States. It's official beer of USA, the USA men's hockey team.
Okay.
So as long as they're not also
team.
the official beer of like the Russian hockey team is what I'm saying.
Right.
Because then it feels cheap.
They could be that too. I don't know.
Playing both sides.
Yeah.
Freaking bad.
Probably not Russia. Russia probably doesn't have a beer. They probably have Smirnoff.
Yeah.
Are we in it?
We're recording.
Oh, okay. Are we like, have we started?
Sure.
We
don't ever cut this out. We're not going to start at 150 episodes.
I'm so excited about this episode for so many reasons, and you are fortunate to be joining us. We have a lot to celebrate this evening, and I want to start it by saying happy birthday to my brother. Happy birthday, Dylan.
Woo, Dylan.
Thanks, brother.
130 years old.
Yeah.
35 years of age.
I was off.
You could have picked any number in the 30s and I would have agreed.
The 150 that Kendall was thinking of.
There's a camera in the way. I can't see Dylan's face this time around.
Hey,
Usually
buddy.
I can see Dylan's face. I can't right now.
I should have said brother. Hey, brother.
Hey, bruh.
Hey, bro.
That's far more casual than brother.
Bruh.
The 150 you were saying.
The 150 is, this is our 150th episode of From the Middle.
Wild.
Wow.
Friggin' wild.
And he probably doesn't want me saying this, but Dylan also got a bit of a promotion and pay raise.
That's true. Yeah.
It's true that you didn't want me saying anything, or
No, it's true that it happened. Well, both, but it's true that it happened. I'm still living from the middle, so not that big of a pay raise.
You guys keep talking. I've prepared a little something. I'll be right back. If you're on YouTube, this is an extra special treat.
This is the whole thing. We were pulled up to the building, and then it's cold outside right now because that's what spring is like in the Midwest.
Yeah,
and Corey is all being secretive around his car, and I'm like holding the door open, waiting for people to walk in. And
yeah, our studio is so huge. We had to walk from the basketball court spot end down to the recording end.
That makes this sound real impressive, doesn't it?
And we didn't know what he was doing.
Oh
my gosh. Holy cow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dylan. Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
It's his favorite cake. Betty Crocker Funfetti with Funfetti icing. I brought plates and napkins and forks for everyone from my son's last birthday party.
Nice.
And I brought 3 different types of milk because I didn't know what kind.
Why 3?
Because I didn't know what kind you guys wanted.
Nice.
Were these
All right.
also the 3 and 5 candles off of Case's birthday cake?
Glad I cracked open a beer.
Tends to go
whole
good.
skim or 2%?
Lord, I have to drive home. I can't be sleeping. I'm going to blow the candles out before we light our thing on fire.
Make a wish.
All right. So my wish was, no, this is great. Thank you very much. I do love this cake. The little confetti sprinkles and the icing, they start to get a little soft after a day or two.
That's from both of us.
And if you're not watching this on YouTube, you should be. Please head over to our channel to subscribe. You can click the links in any of our social media profile bios and not only find our other social media channels, but also a tip jar. Feel free to throw some money in there. You can direct it right at me for my birthday.
Yeah. So do you want whole vitamin D milk,
Oh, you're really hammering the milk. This
2% reduced fat?
Not a bit.
Well, cake needs to go, milk and cake.
Yeah, I'll take a. I'll take a. Let's split the difference. I'll take the non-skim, non-whole. How about that?
Kendall,
It doesn't matter to me, man.
do you tolerate lactose?
I'm fully tolerant of lactose. I'll take the skim.
All right.
I've got,
Look at that.
Hey-o.
Corey's gonna go into a coma with the whole milk.
Yeah.
Man, the way you threw that at me now, and it just seeing Stone Cold on the thing, and that's how I want to handle this milk right now. It's just
Yeah.
like break it open and pour it all over my face.
As long as you do like the shampoo commercial where you like flip it all over with your head, like you've just
yeah,
moisturized your scalp or something.
and then I'm gonna perform stunners on both of you at the end of the episode for 150. That's my plan.
Sweet.
That's awesome. And if you're watching, this is not a bit. He's forcing me to cut the cake right
yeah.
now. So this is
All I'm thinking about right now is I just made this gesture into the camera, and I'm hoping that somebody doesn't make that into a GIF.
All right.
yeah, 150 episodes.
150 episodes.
Congratulations, guys.
With far more bonus content available on said YouTube channel. If you really haven't gotten enough of us after 150 episodes,
Dylan's good at the plugs.
I just, we've said we're not YouTubers.
Yeah.
However, we've got some genuinely great content on YouTube.
Some gems.
Some genuinely interesting stuff, and I'm just very proud of us for being podcasters who happen to have a great YouTube channel, in my humble opinion.
There you go.
So that's where we are.
You know what's going to be great for our throat clearing? A bunch of milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's clear my Mountain Dew hole.
Yeah. My Mountain Dew hole doesn't know what to do with this milk.
So while Dylan is cutting his cake, I'm going to talk about something that we have tried to do since the beginning of this podcast, something that I've been genuinely excited to try, but never really got traction. And I think it's because I initially sold it, marketed it poorly. And that is an advice segment. So we are celebrating episode 150 with a new segment that we call Answers from the Middle.
From the middle.
Middle.
So what is that, you might ask? Well, we thought it'd be funny to do entertaining answers to your queries. And these can be serious questions. Just know that the answer will be for entertainment purposes and more comical. We'll also give genuine thoughts. Mm-hmm. But I think we legally have to say that this is for entertainment purposes only. And that if you have a real question, you should consult a professional. Or if it's like, mental health related, don't go by what we say. We're just idiots. Oh, you're the worst person ever.
Much like Dr. Phil, this is for entertainment only and should not be taken as serious mental advice. You told me to go ahead and cut the cake.
How dare you?
I don't
For
know.
those of you listening and just only on podcasts,
I don't
which is
see the
honestly
problem.
most of you, if we've all seen those videos that are like the least displeasing thing to watch or whatever. And
How to annoy a person with OCD, things like that.
And one of the classic ways is when somebody like cuts a triangle of pizza out of the middle of a pizza.
Yeah.
Dylan just did the equivalent with a cake.
Corey's got to finish that whole slice. He's got to cut off the corner
Corey's
and
gotta
finish
fix
the whole
it,
slice now. By the way, it's so funny that you mentioned the pizza thing. I saw a picture of somebody who the other day who said, "My wife cuts off all the stuffed crusts and leaves the smaller triangle in the pizza box."
Really?
So it's like you see this photo. It looks like somebody took scissors to the stuffed crust.
Well,
I would be furious.
Who was that again? Who does that?
I don't know. I just saw it on. It was a random meme.
A random meme. To that person, I say this: that Little Caesars right now, which, in my humble opinion, gets a horrible rap, and I like Little Caesars not just as cheap pizza. I like Little Caesars as pizza. Really? The very bottom of my list is Domino's. I think Domino's is complete trash.
Okay.
Pizza Hut is just a step above Domino's, unless it's the 90s, and they have their original deep dish situation. In any case, Little Caesars has stuffed breadsticks right now.
So good.
And it sounds like that's what that person needs to do and stop wasting all that food.
Yeah. I'm surprised you said Pizza Hut is just above Domino's.
Just above Domino's.
Even like their stuffed crust?
Their stuffed crust is good. It's the only thing I would get from Pizza Hut. I would otherwise not get.
It redeems Pizza Hut for sure.
It is. It gives me an option at Pizza Hut.
So are we starting answers?
Yeah,
from the
so
middle,
we're
by the
starting
way?
answers from the middle. Now, here's what good looks like. We need to set the bar, okay? The more detail, the better. So if you have a question, a lot of specificity is great. For example, I was at the office one day. A coworker said that they brought in donuts, but then that coworker cut the whole donuts into halves, or worse yet, into quadrants, so that we could sample the different types of donuts. Are they insane, or was I wrong to get upset at their behavior? Or my significant other and I went into a restaurant and the server said this, and then my significant other said this, and it embarrassed me. Am I wrong to be embarrassed, or was that the right thing? So general questions are fine, but specificity, specific stories with context is really, really great. And again, it can be something serious, or it can be something just fun. We love to do the etiquette things. So we reached out to our loyal listeners that we affectionately refer to as middlers in advance of this episode, and they've given us a whole bunch to choose from. So we're going to start with just 2 or 3 and give our thoughts, and then you guys, please email us at fromthemiddle@protonmail.com. That's PROTON mail.com. Or send us a voicemail if you're okay with your voice being heard. Our phone number is in the description below, or if one of you could pull that up, that would be great. You can leave a voicemail. Generally, we decided we will keep everyone anonymous unless you would like your first name perhaps to be mentioned. But if you don't specify, we'll keep all of these anonymous, which we think will help us get more
detail so that we can
question.
Well, we'll know who you are, but
yeah. So we'll know who you are from the email, but I don't think voicemails tag you in any way. So
right.
Okay, so we got our first one. While you guys are eating cake, I'm going to read it. And this is like a best in class example of what we want, because it's a lot of really good detail. So here we go. We live in a stereotypical suburb in Columbus, Ohio, where people are often out walking around the neighborhood. I'm all for giving a polite wave or nod to walkers and other drivers. It's just neighborly after all. But my husband takes things a step further, and when driving by a walker, will toot his car horn and aggressively wave to people we don't know. I believe this behavior would lead the walker, the recipient of the exuberant greeting, to think they know the person in the car, but they don't. I think this is intentionally misleading, and my husband does it because he thinks it is humorous, not because it is friendly or neighborly. I argue this is a form of bullying, since it is done for his enjoyment, regardless of the confusion it may cause our unsuspecting neighbors. So here's the question. Am I right and my husband should cease his over-the-top greetings to people he doesn't know, or should I just not let this bother me? So in the neighborhood, husband honking, waving, I'm imagining a big grin on his face, waving at the person with wide eyes, and they're like, what do we know, honey, do we know that? Like, and that's what he finds enjoyment in, I'm guessing, based on this question. Is that rude, or should she just let this go? Or he, it could be two guys.
That's actually a little bit of tough, because in all of these things that we're going to have like some nuanced responses with context.
Yes. And this is what we should call out. Sorry, Dylan. We should call out the different considerations, right? Because like if context matters, or if like those are the things that people want to hear, we need to know the variables or the considerations. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So I'm going to try to respond in the most basic form to the question with only the information I have, which is, I don't know that it's bullying. The term was bullying was used, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know that bullying feels a little strong, but I think when it's only for your amusement, it's a practical joke level. And there's no opportunity to like follow up and engage on the back end of the joke. Right. So like you pull a prank on somebody in your office, assuming it's pretty harmless. Typically you have an opportunity to circle back and be like, and kind of explain, and then they know that it was a joke. This one, you would never get that explanation. So I don't think it's necessarily something that you should let go, because it does feel a little more rude than like a prank. Is it hurting anybody? No. I think if there's a part of you that can try something like that and try to be silly, your own neighborhood feels like a good place to do it, because presumably people might at least recognize your car and go, oh, I think they live down the street. Maybe they're just, so I don't know. I think some of the nuance to it is, it feels a little nicer in your own neighborhood if you're like trying to be playful with your neighbors than somewhere you don't know anybody, to me. But I don't think it's something necessarily you just let go, because I do think it could be rude, and then people could be like genuinely like surprised, her thinking they didn't say. I think of the overthinkers is what I'm trying to say. The person on the other end of that's like, oh, I didn't wave back. Do I know him? Oh, I should have waved. What if I offended somebody that I knew? That doesn't feel light and playful anymore.
So I'll speak as an overthinker. The worst that happens is I'm a little confused. That's the worst that happens to anybody.
Maybe to you, though.
So I was going to make the case that because it's in your neighborhood, that's actually a little meaner, because
Interesting.
It's a more closed environment where people think I should know that person, depending on the size of your neighborhood. If you're on an interstate moving in tandem with somebody in another lane and you do that, you beep and wave and you make a big stupid grin. Their natural assumption is this is just a person being goofy. I don't know them. No harm, no foul. But because it's in your neighborhood, it's actually more like, oh, whose car is that? But again, bullying does feel strong, because the worst that happens is somebody's just a little confused, I think.
I could be swayed off of that argument a little bit.
But so I'm not just trying to be centrist for being centrist's sake. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle here, where it's like you are finding the husband is finding some sick enjoyment out of people being confused, and that moment of what on their face, he's finding a sick pleasure from that. But is it bullying or being mean? Because if somebody ever circled back to the husband and figured it out somehow, they'd be like, hey, why are you so overly nice and smiley and beepy? Like, that's really all that you've done.
Yeah. Hypothetically speaking, what if her perspective of it being aggressive waving is off, and and that the person who is doing this is at the controls of the podcast right now, and spoke with his wife about this to make sure that like she actually doesn't care that I bring it up.
Okay, good. I got real scared.
I just wanted to see the looks on your face.
I got real nervous.
We just told everyone it was anonymous.
Well, okay, so this one was my wife. The jerk husband is me, and she wrote that.
Okay, we're not going to dispute that part.
She wrote this thing in a manner that makes it sound like she's like strongly trying to plead a case. So exaggerating on purpose, because she copied and pasted this from her sending it somewhere else, because we might get on another podcast with this story, and the format that they use, the way the shtick that they play, and everybody knows this, is that's what you do. You play it up.
Yeah, makes better content.
Right. So that said, so my wife isn't actually like this upset about it. And she certainly doesn't actually think it's bullying. But yeah, so it's what it is, driving through the neighborhood, and it's a lot like what the thing is saying. I would say like it's not aggressively waving. It's just like and it's not like a long honk. It's a beep, hand in the air. Is all it is.
A true toot.
Oh.
It's just a toot, hand in the air, keep going. And then I do sometimes make the comment like, I wonder if they're confused right now. And then as I'm driving away. So the rest of everything that you guys said is absolutely correct. I do get sick enjoyment out of confusing people sometimes. Yeah, no, I'm totally not concerned about circling back and explaining the joke. And
a toot in the hand in the air, all good.
Yeah.
Even if you were aggressively waving, like, and a couple toots.
Yeah, which I'm not. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I have done this to strangers on like street corners in town before too. So like I've done it like not in my neighborhood either. But I try to kind of pick and choose. And I don't do. I mean, I've done this probably like 2 or 3 times with my wife in the car. I've probably done it like 10 times total my whole life. But yeah.
So let's pretend. Go ahead.
I was going to say it technically feels harmless. However, I just think about have you ever gone through a fast food drive-through and they're being really over the top just for the sake of, you can tell the fast food workers trying to like, they do an insane accent or whatever. Yeah. And if you catch somebody in the wrong mood, that comes across as very obnoxious. And teenagers do that all the time as they're trying to figure out their sense of humor. They're really trying to be over the top just to get a reaction. And again, if you catch somebody on the wrong day, the wrong hour, they didn't get the promotion at work because Dylan did. And then they really hate Dylan. I just feel like you could that could be the thing that triggers somebody for the day. And you can't trigger warning like with everybody, right? But because it does feel harmless. But there is that part of me that at most you might tick somebody off here and there.
Yeah. If that's how I end up ticking someone off, I'm okay with it.
Well, and as you explained it back with a quick honk and a quick wave is a lot different than obviously being obnoxious for the sake of being obnoxious. Is different, very different.
All right, so let's pretend like that didn't come from Kendall's wife. That's the perfect type of question.
Great.
It's about something that's really trivial either way. There's a lot of detail, and it's fun to break down and talk about.
It is, yeah.
Speaking of horn honking and just somebody having the wrong day.
And all these questions aren't just from our wives.
By the way. And we will keep them anonymous. So Kendall, we promise to keep them anonymous. Okay. Speaking of horn honking and it being the wrong time, my wife refuses to honk at someone in traffic, even if they deserve it, because of what Dylan just said. In her mind, she's like, what if they just lost their job? They just got broken up with and their dog died. My honk could be... My honk could be
puts him over the edge.
The final nail in this coffin.
Like literally, she's worried.
She says they could go home and kill themselves.
Oh wow!
We're not laughing at the last part, just that it escalated that
I
quickly.
just spit everywhere. She's like, what if my honk is the thing that just pushes them over the edge and they choose to end their life? And I'm like, whoa, first of all. But also, you're sweet. Anyway.
It takes a lot for me to honk at somebody in traffic, but typically the only time I'll do it is if I'm behind somebody at a stoplight and the light is turned green. I typically trigger like a 5-second, because sometimes you might only get like a 5 or 7 second light if you're like turning. So I kind of trigger like a 5, 4, 3, and if they're not moving by 1, I'll give them a quick tap on the horn.
Yeah, and it's
That's
not
about
it.
it.
Yeah, because that's not a what are you doing, you idiot?
Yeah.
That's a the light's green.
I'm not slamming the horn for 10 seconds.
In the Midwest, it's an ope honk.
Yeah, it's
the light's green.
Oh, you might have missed that one there.
We're also
Slip
not
right
in a
past it.
high density area where there is a honking language. If you're in a major city, you know that. You know that short honks aren't aggressive. They're just like, hey, just heads up. Long honks are middle fingers. Like,
Interesting.
there's a whole honk language. A toot toot versus a long hold. Like, there's a whole legitimate toot language. Okay, another email from Anonymous. Should I tip at places like Subway when I don't eat in the restaurant? I always feel guilty.
Yeah, this is akin to like the when you're picking up your own carryout order,
Yep.
right? When
Yeah.
you're going into the counter. First of all, I didn't know that Subway had the option to tip if you were just like going in and ordering.
Probably
in front
up
of
to the
sandwich
franchise.
artist. Okay.
I'm also thinking of coffee places. If you're going in
sure, right.
and getting a coffee and leaving.
An equivalent to might be a lot of like Jersey Mike's and Firehouse and Jimmy John's places. The little bit nicer sub shops often have the checkout screen, like where you can input a tip on the screen as you're like paying or whatever.
Let's assume they mean there's a tip jar out at a place that's a sub.
Well, either way, let's address it because the places have the digital swipe your card, do Apple Pay.
Okay.
Do you want to do a tip 10, 15, 20 buttons that you can hit?
Right.
I think we got to talk about both.
Okay. I'll get mine out of the way. If it's a sub shop, I'm not going to tip unless they like go above and beyond in some way. And that could be how efficient they are. That could be them not charging me for extra meat or cheese. That could be them just being very, very friendly and having a really good attitude. If one of those things doesn't happen, I'm probably just paying for my sub and walking out. If it's a coffee shop, definitely not tipping if it's drip coffee. But if it's a handmade drink, again, I may tip there because it's not a normal process that they're following, right?
Do you tip at like Starbucks?
If it's a handmade drink, and sometimes I will. But if it's just drip coffee, I'm just going in for drip coffee. No, I'm just getting out of there.
I'm going to go straight to the throat on this one. No, you don't need to tip at Subway or Jersey Mike's or any of those places. Now, one thing I have learned, we talked about this a lot at the beginning of the pandemic and as we were all doing all these curbside things, and somebody reminded me that a lot of times the person doing carryout might be a normal server who's like stationed at the bar / carryout area,
Right.
and they're not getting normal tips, like as if they're doing tables. Now, we don't know if they're inside also serving tables and doing carryout, but let's assume for a second they don't. I now draw the line at if I'm walking into the business and I'm picking up off of like the Chipotle to go area, or I'm grabbing my subs, like the prepay, even if I go in and order it and pay and walk out, I'm not tipping any of those places.
Yeah.
Where you like, I'm walking into the building to get it. If it's a sit down restaurant where somebody's bringing me the food and the situation is likely what I mentioned, that they're working carry out and not a normal set of tables, I will tip. I'm not tipping as much as I was tipping at the beginning of the pandemic, where I was tipping as if I was sitting inside
Sure.
and getting refills and getting extra bread and whatever. But I am tipping on those. So I would say sub shops, no. If I'm walking in to get the coffee or I'm doing the drive-through, I'm really doing all the work. And those rolls are typically not like serve table tipped rolls. So I would
Is there
say
a
no.
situation in which you would tip? What would Jake, the high schooler behind the counter at the sub shop, have to do to get a buck from you?
I don't think it's that. I mean, I would say if somebody was super friendly, but normally the issue there is like if I go into my local sub place, there's 2 or 3 people all making it, and like each person is only touching it for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and the sub is done in a minute and a half, and 3 or 4 people have touched it on the way to
Sounds
checkout.
like pretty good service. You might want to.
Well, even if you give him that look, like, can you throw some extra cheese on there? And he's like, I got you, man. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe if I saw one guy busting it and he greeted me and he's like making the sub and he takes his gloves off and he's very quickly ringing me out. I might tap the like tip button on the checkout screen or throw $1 or $2 in if I had it. Maybe if it's like one guy busting it to like take care of everybody, I might do that. But I don't think, to me, that's really no different than pulling up to a fast food drive-through window. Like,
Okay.
I'm not tipping in that situation. I'm walking in to get the sub. I'm placing the order. I'm carrying it out. Like, to me, it doesn't feel any different.
Yeah.
Kendall?
I'm very similar. Generally speaking, in carry out situations, if I go into a pizza place where I would normally tip a driver, and I don't know why I feel this way, I have a $2 rule. Like I don't care percentages, anything of that nature. If I'm walking into the pizza place to pick up the pizza, $2 goes on the tip line. If I'm walking into Olive Garden to pick up something, I might bump it up to 4, but I'm not figuring out a percentage there. But Subway specifically is something where I figure, if I'm walking into McDonald's or Burger King, they're not even asking for tips. That's not something we do. Let's not make this more complicated than it already is. Subway, you don't get a tip when I'm coming in. And so that I feel like for me, that's I don't have a rule per se. It's more of a feel. And if it's a fast food kind of place and I'm walking in and getting it, I'm not tipping. That's
All right. So that's 3 no tip and only 1 tip if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're good. Quit feeling guilty.
I don't even tip when I walk in to pick up pizza. So if I deliver it, of course, and I'll tip generously.
Right.
But you're right.
not-
I was saying for sub shops. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not tipping off on pizza when I walk in to get it and sign and walk out with it. But
Yeah, no, I'm willing to admit my thing makes no sense.
yeah,
Because if I'm getting it
interesting.
delivered, I work the percentage game.
yeah,
If I'm picking it up, $2.
yeah,
Got
interesting.
it. All right. Last one. Last answers from the middle. This is from a friend of the show in Maui. Interesting.
Wow.
I lived with a group of guys and was cleaning on a Saturday while everyone else was away. Was it wrong that I entered their rooms and vacuumed their rugs?
Oy.
Ooh.
I feel like there's a flip side to this story. Like he wouldn't be asking the question if he or she like wasn't confronted or if they're just like overcome with guilt now.
This is why lots of detail is better.
Yeah. I would say without knowing the rest of that story, if there was
that's
no
all we know.
confrontation,
That's all we know.
I would say no. Like because I'm just thinking if my roommate came into my room and like the door wasn't locked or anything like that, I would give them a handshake and I would probably tip them and
Buy them a sub.
Say
$2.
thank you.
Don't
Yeah.
play the percentage game.
No, yeah.
Okay. But the door, you mentioned the door. That's a consideration for me. Was the door
Yeah.
open when you were vacuuming?
I would be even, I'd be okay if they opened the door and went in. But again, that's me.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay, the door is the big deal here. I wish we had that detail. So here's what I'm going to say, and I'm sorry, maybe not. Depends on if you opened a door. If you opened a door to vacuum, good intent, but you did the wrong thing. That's going into somebody's personal space. They could have had their adult cartoon collection out. They could have had what would you have, Corey? What kind of adult cartoons would you have had?
Family Guy.
Yeah, Family Guy. If the door was open, that seems reasonable, but like I'm not rooting through stuff on the ground. It's like the part of the rug is available to be seen without anything sitting on it. I'll do it quick. But we live in the age of text. You could have texted everyone while you were unwrapping the cord on the vacuum and said, "Hey, do you mind if I'm cleaning up around the place? Can I run the vacuum in your room quick. And by the time you would have plugged it in and done the other stuff, you would have had responses saying yay or nay. So I think if you push doors open, sorry, path to hell is paved with good intentions. If the doors are open, it was probably fine. That's what I'm gonna say.
Are we getting all this gold, Kendall? Are we okay?
We're good. I'm trying to send a text message to Dylan.
Family Guy.
All right. So here's I agree. The door is a big consideration here. Also, is this an established routine? Do you vacuum every Saturday? Do they know that this goes on? And has it been discussed with your roommates? I get the impression from the question that this was a first time thing.
If this was a regular chore kind of thing, I don't think the question's even being asked.
Yeah, you're right. So the door is huge. And I say, if the doors were closed, I wouldn't go in there. Now, interestingly, this question was already in our inbox, and I was talking about this with some colleagues, and they said the sex matters here of the roommates. So if this was a group of girls, they said it would totally be fine, but the girls would actually expect that you do this now for every time there on out.
Yeah.
That's what this female said, that if you were to do that, all good, just know that you're now relegated to that task
forever
for the rest of the time we all live together because you've done it once. I think when it's a group of guys, they would be like, hey, this was a one-off occurrence. Don't ever do it again, but also thank you.
I don't think it would probably be that. I think the guy would say it. Hey, I vacuumed your room. It ain't happening again. You got lucky this time.
Yeah. So anyway, these are exactly the questions we want. So send your detailed questions to fromthemiddle@protonmail.com. In the subject heading, please use please write answers from the middle to make sure that we see it more easily. So fromthemiddle@protonmail.com. Answers from the middle in the subject line. Give us lots of detail and we will keep you anonymous. And if you would like to call us, our phone number is 614-383-8412. That's 614-383-8412. And you can leave a voicemail where we will play your voicemail. Only say your first name if you want to be called out. Otherwise, we'll keep that anonymous as well. So I'm really excited about this. Are there any types of questions you guys would like to see?
Well, so we started out by saying brother a lot. I have my own to ask. But as far as types of questions I want to hear from other people, this kind of stuff, social etiquette.
Yes, those are great.
Workplace, it can be home, whatever, doesn't matter. Any kind of social etiquette stuff I find fascinating. It can be anything. It can be totally anything. If people want to ask very serious questions about like how to deal with a family member in a tough situation, that's totally fine. But I think we like kind of funny.
Yeah, we'll take a stab at all of them. I actually like the idea that the occasional serious one would come in.
Yeah. So we were jokingly saying brother a lot at the beginning of the episode, or I was. So this one came up. Just a fast one. Somebody that I've met professionally through work, not at my company, essentially a client, immediately started calling me brother.
Immediately?
I mean, we maybe had talked one or two times on the phone. Now, I'll introduce one extra piece of information I didn't tell you before. Because we're a very tech-driven company where I work, I will frequently say, when I've talked to somebody the first or second time, feel free to call, text, or email. However you prefer to chat.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think that immediately gives people a bit more of a relaxed posture if they know they can just text me questions. I do it because it often saves a lot of time. I get a lot of questions that are like kind of yes and no answers or short answers. So I prefer text because it's a lot easier than responding to an email or a phone call all the time.
Sure.
And so I realize that for some people might put them in a very relaxed position right away with me. However, and this doesn't bother me, but I am curious. Do you think it's interesting for somebody to like almost immediately start calling you brother? This is a male, essentially a client. I don't think females probably would call each other brother. So this really is probably a male to male question.
Sure.
And so you guys had some interesting responses. So feel free to.
I just said that's a bold choice, especially if you're using the word immediately or shortly after only one or two exchanges. To go straight to brother is an interesting choice. So he must have felt a special invitation from you or a informality with you to feel like that was okay in a professional setting.
And I agree. We even discussed that I think bro is far more, it's a lot easier to let slip.
Right.
Brother feels so much more formal than bro. Like, sure, bro. Like,
Yeah.
especially via text.
Sure. Via text. See, this is where it's so weird to me because man to man in situations with, it's happened with a coworker. I don't know if it's ever happened. It probably has with somebody I didn't really know. Might call me brother, but context and like vocal inflection means a lot, even if you're using the full word. Right? Thanks, brother. Is different from saying, "How you doing, brother?"
Yeah. And we also were discussing there's a whole religious element to this where, especially within Christianity, it's not uncommon if you know somebody has similar beliefs, you might refer to them like brother in Christ or sister in Christ, something like that.
But the shorthand is still bro, but the intention behind it is we are both believers, so I'm calling you bro.
Right. He doesn't know any religious background about me at all.
Right.
If he did, that would even make a little more sense. But
Right.
that's not it. I don't mind, but it felt very I would never use that with somebody that I hadn't worked with for a very long time or felt very comfortable with.
I would say like in person, it'd be probably pretty easy for me to tell. Via text, not so much. Because I feel like for every man, as you're coming of age, I feel like, or at least you have these thoughts of like, I need to figure out what my repertoire of words is going to be when I'm referring to other guys in a casual manner. Am I going to be a chief kind of guy?
Champ.
Am I going to say bro? Am I going to say bra? Am I going to say champ or sport? Am I going to say brother? And if so, what is it going to sound like when I do it?
Do I sound weird doing it? Need to try it a few times.
You need to try it out a few times.
Yeah.
Every man has done this,
Yeah.
right? They've had these thoughts and they have practiced in the car. I have my own list. It has changed here and there over time. I tend to go with bro, regardless of religious affiliation. I call a lot of people bro. I call a lot of people dude. I use both of those. I've used brother before casually. But again, it's all with the inflection has to be there. It's got to be real quick. You got to tag at the end of the sentence real quick. Thanks, brother. It's fine in my book, no matter who it is. A guy I don't know. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Is different from saying thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Those two things are different in my world. So
yeah,
I could be wrong.
It's funny, as I was thinking, we were just talking about it, another client in a similar situation, I realize, has called me brother now that I think about it.
Oh, wow.
But this is
You are bringing this on yourself,
two
sir.
things.
You are.
Two things that
You're
are very
too nice to people.
Two things that are very different, and I don't even have any insight. I'm just going to leave it. I've worked with this guy a bunch and have sold with him, and he's from South Africa. And so I think there's an element. It always kind of struck me, now that I'm thinking back, it struck me that was maybe a little bit of a cultural element, because he says it. He says it with a South African accent, and so you just hear it differently versus somebody with essentially an American broadcast standard voice saying brother versus somebody with a thicker accent from another country. I don't know what that means. I have no answers, but it is interesting.
Yeah, that is. So, Kendall, what's your answer to this guy with Dylan?
The South African guy?
Too soon?
No. Too soon for the first guy.
Too soon for the first guy or not?
Over text, I would not have done it.
Yeah.
I would say too soon.
Yeah.
In person, I would have to hear it.
Because I still text with appropriate grammar all the time, but especially if it's for work. So like, I'm not using shorthand language via text.
Right.
It's just more convenient. Yeah, it's interesting.
If he would have spelled it BRUTHA, I'm cool with it.
Interesting. Okay.
That's like guys.
No, and
that's like guys texting each other "love ya," but will not text I love you.
Sure.
Yeah. And he's not putting brother. There's no, it's like brother.
Right.
spelled out.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah, I feel like the only way to clarify it, if he meant it in the super casual way that I'm hoping he did, then the only way for him to clarify it would be to say brother. But he didn't necessarily have that come to his mind that this is going to be misconstrued because text messages suck when it comes to reading language.
I still use DOOD for dude based on the 2000s film The Island with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. And I realize every year that I get further away from that movie, more people just think I can't spell. But one of the guys in the movie just says, like, I'm not going to go through the whole premise of the film. You should watch it. It's good. He's never heard the word dude before. And he says, the security guard just called the other one dude. And they're like trying to figure out what the word is. He's like, DOOD, dude. And he says it like that. I've always thought it was really funny.
You say it like that too.
Dude. So
Quite a
I
bit.
just,
Yeah.
I just spell it DOOD. And I realize every time I do that with somebody I don't know, I go, they think I'm an idiot every time.
All right, dudes.
Well, I have therapy tomorrow morning, so I'm just going to start a little early. I did what Kendall just described decades ago, literally decades ago, and thought, I want to be the type of guy that says bro, brother, dude, and man. So I have said bro, brother, dude, and man for at least 20 years.
You probably should just pick one at a time.
It depends, though. So I do say brother to people that I know are have similar beliefs. And if they do not, or I'm unsure, I will say dude or man. Only if I feel like I have earned some casual rapport with them. I would not say that in a professional context unless it was a colleague that I've worked with for a while. But I did have that moment where I'm like, you know what? I think I want to be the guy that has these. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Right on.
Anyway, but I do pause if I'm saying brother to a black man because that has different connotations for them.
Are they going to misconstrue this?
Are they
not
going
as-
to misconstrue this?
Yeah.
That's something that they will say to each other.
Mhm.
But if it's said back to me, I take it as a great honor, and I am very excited to continue saying brother with them.
Wait exactly. I listen for it too. I'm like, if I get brothered, then I'm willing to reciprocate it.
Yes.
but I'm going to.
I'm not going to be the first to say it.
I do the exact same thing.
So, like, if Ray calls you brother the next time you're getting your hair cut, you'll
Which
be
he
like,
has.
you're like, yeah, like we're there, but
And-
I'm not going to say it first.
And with his dad, I've gotten to know his dad. now,
Okay.
too, and his dad's real cool as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
But
yeah. I won't
Man.
say bro first to a black guy, but if it gets said to me, I'm super excited.
yeah, right.
Interesting. Well, I did something that I never thought I was going to do, and I'm going to tell you about it right after we hear from one of our friends in the Odd Pods Media Network.
Hey, I'm Pantsless Aaron,
This is Stevie.
And I'm Augie.
and we are BFYTW, a podcast all about playing games and having fun. Our games are usually based on British panel shows and game shows, but we'll play anything that captures our attention and imagination. Why? It's right there in the title.
You'll never guess what the F stands for.
We have eaten half of Dylan's birthday cake. Over half of Dylan's birthday cake.
I am.
How was it? Did I
There's-
do good?
You nailed it,
Yeah,
and that
fantastic.
cake and milk and watermelon Celsius is all just sloshing around down there.
Yeah, dude.
Your shark napkins and plates were awesome, by the way.
You mean
Or-
jawsome?
Totally
Yeah, dude.
jawsome. So I teased right before I got very clickbaity. Right before the ad break, that I did something that I never thought I was going to ever do, and it might not seem like a big deal to some people or anybody, but it is to me, and so I wanted to talk about it. In December, my wife and I got a car. It was a used car, but new to us. And it came with a trial of Sirius XM. And we let the trial expire. And they sent an offer letter today in the mail that literally was too good to refuse. And I'm paying for Sirius XM.
Yeah, dude.
I'm paying for it because it was literally 3 years of Sirius XM with mobile app access for $99.
There you go.
And that just felt like too freaking good to be true.
I'd do it.
We have vacation coming up this summer. Like, we're going to be driving. I'm like, we're going to be able to access it everywhere. And there's Sirius XM apps for Apple TV, which we have multiple, not and phones, of course, and my Wi-Fi whole home music system, you can do Sirius XM on it, and my speakers have presets, so I could make one of my presets Sirius XM and just walk up and hit a button, and it'll start streaming it.
It's exciting,
right
man.
away. And so, for anyone listening, the reason why I went through all of this, if you're older, if your parents or grandparents have Sirius XM, ask them what channels that they like, and pass them along, so I know what to go listen to. If your grandparents or great grandparents have any favorite Sirius XM channels, I'd love to know what to listen to. I'm very excited because we've got it for 3 years now, and so I can tune in. I remember when Sirius and XM were competitors, and they weren't even the same company. For anyone else, I can age myself a little bit there. And people used to ask us. I worked for Bose, the audio company at the time, so we would talk about those kind of companies frequently because people wanted to know how they could interact with our products and whatever. And then they merged, and they're just the only people that do what they do now.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like Spotify and Apple Music that's very different.
Why did you think you would never do it? Because you already have so many free streaming music platforms?
Right. Yes, that's exactly it. And they used to charge more for the mobile app access, which is another thing. Like you pay a base price for the car, or if you got one of the Sirius XM head units that you could like sit in your house and plug into a stereo. And then you'd have to pay more for the app access. But like $99 for 3 years. I'm going to be all the golden oldies that I can stand. It's going to be great. Man. So yeah, send me your great grandparents and grandparents recommendations for Sirius XM. I'd love to know what they're listening to because I got a bunch of channels now. And since I work from home, I frequently stream music. So now I can stream right off my phone through my whole house speakers and stuff. And I'm looking for some recommendations.
I'll tell you what Sirius XM is amazing for is sports.
I've heard sports, and they also have a bunch of stand-up comedy channels.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm kind of excited about stand-up, too.
I used to, because since I'm a Detroit and Michigan sports fan all around and live in the heart of Ohio, I don't get to watch any of my teams. I'll still watch stuff that's on anyway, but, there'd be plenty of times when I would just go, sit in my driveway and sit in my truck and listen to a Tigers baseball game.
Nice.
And I don't know if this is kosher or not. I was in my own driveway, but I would bring a beer out with me, sit in my truck with a beer, and
wave at the passersby,
and beep and wave at the passersby, and listen to games. Man, I miss having Sirius XM.
Really? Oh, that's good to know. So the house we live in now, the lot size is not very big. And so I have a multi-point router system that no matter where I'm working outside, I don't have an unlimited data plan. So no matter where I'm working outside, I can stream music on my phone through my noise canceling headphones and walk around the yard and mow and weed whack and all that stuff and stream whatever. So I'm very excited to try out some of the different channels and the stand-up comedy channels and some of that. So, and now I can check out sports.
Tom Petty used to have his own show on Sirius XM. Which was amazing.
Interesting.
I assume that show is gone now. But
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Since he's no longer with us.
He's no longer with us.
Yeah, it's probably gone.
Well,
they might have a best
if someone or if somebody might
picked up
have
the mantle.
Picked up, it wasn't Tom Petty's songs. It was just this is what Tom Petty.
Oh, I thought you meant Howard Stern, he had a show.
Tom Petty was
a
playing
themed station.
No, Tom Petty was playing disc jockey for you.
Oh.
You were right the first time.
He was hosting.
Okay.
And so he would talk in between songs, and it's Tom Petty talking to you.
Interesting.
And he would give these stories about this song and how he heard it. And because it was Sirius XM, he's not beholden to the normal AM, FM. These are the list of songs we can legally play.
Right.
He could play whatever he wanted.
That's awesome.
And it was really cool.
That's great. Well, cool. I'll add it to the Golden Oldie station if I can find it. They also have show tunes and standards, which is nice. All kinds of fun stuff. So I had to fill you guys in.
All right. Well, speaking of stand-up, and we haven't mentioned Sebastian Maniscalco in about 10 episodes, so we got to bring him up again. He and Pete, for the first time, have started a Patreon, and it's only $5 a month. And I thought, well, I got to check that out. Tiger Belly who I love, hosted by Bobby Lee and his girlfriend Kalila, also have a Patreon that I was supporting for $5 a month. They weren't putting out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I just transferred my $5 over to the Pete and Sebastian show. It's only been 2 weeks, and I can already say I've got my $5 worth. There's a lot of really good content. They do an extra episode for their Patreon supporters once a month, as well as a lot of cool behind-the-scenes photos about their lives. They just got together for the first time in a very long time at Sebastian's house for Easter. And so they were posting videos of their kids playing in the yard together at Sebastian's house. And Pete was like blown away by the level of attention and care and how much he felt pampered at Sebastian's house.
Yeah.
Sebastian missed his calling of going into the service industry because he's obsessed with what good service, customer service looks like. He worked at a Four Seasons for a really long time. He's obsessed with like when a guest comes over, he likes to have the specific things that they enjoy, the specific beverages they enjoy, whatever. So yeah, it's been really good. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you're a Pete and Sebastian fan, check out their Patreon. All right. Well, I had an interesting first since Dylan mentioned a first. My oldest child, Lily, had her first formal.
Oh.
And like picked out a gown and was asked by a boy to go. Whew, I was not emotionally ready for that.
Man, I feel like that's the big one too. Like it wasn't just like, let's go as friends. It was like a boy asked her.
Will you go with me to formal?
The boy saw her, got to know her, and was thinking, gonna ask her.
I would like to go to a formal with her. There were corsages and boutonnieres and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're there. We're in that chapter of life. We went and met with a bunch of the other parents at Ohio Wesleyan University because it's got some nice, settings and landscapes and buildings. And her and her girlfriends and their dates wanted to all get photos together prior to the formal. Because the school is a private Christian academy tethered to a Baptist church, there was no dancing. So it was just a formal dinner at a wedding venue in Delaware County.
Sounds fun.
But yeah, I was a little bummed that there was no dancing. I think that's weird and silly, but whatever, I understand, I guess. But yeah, so their class sizes are very small at that school. So you got freshmen through seniors having a big fancy dinner for 4 hours with games and events and Jenga and camp and a bonfire outside and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, she looked beautiful in her dress, a little too beautiful. But it was like one of those things where I'm just like, it sounds campy and cheesy, but like I remember her being born and just a little kid and me just feeding her and holding her. And here she is standing next to her date in a gown. And I'm like, what is happening?
Man, tell you what. Do you like the kid?
He's a nice kid.
You like
nice
him?
kid.
Did you clean your gun?
I excuse me. For a long time, I fantasized about being that dad.
Right.
And then I read a book by a marriage and family counselor that I subscribe to, Dr. Kevin Lehman, and I think it was him who said, dads that make those jokes are actually saying they don't trust their daughter or her judgment. I know you were just joking, but like you're sending the message to your daughter that like you don't trust her or you haven't taught her how to make sound decisions about who she dates. And so joking around about that is more whatever. It made sense to me in the moment because I always thought like I'm legit going to do that. I'm going to do the bad boys thing where we go over to his house or like I'm cleaning my gun when he walks in to pick her up, like or the super firm handshake where I like, break his bones in his hand. But I was like, that's not really Lily either. I mean, you guys know Lily.
Yeah.
She's a really smart kid. So she's not the type of, now with Chloe, I might do that. All the
stuff. What are you saying about Chloe?
But yeah, so I didn't feel that was necessary in this case. And I heard through Lily that her and this boy were texting. And he said, I'm not worried about meeting your dad. And she said, why? And he goes, because all I have to do is be myself, be respectful. I'm not worried. Yeah. He's a hardworking kid, lives on a farm. And so when we walked into the parking lot, I saw him out of the corner of my eye. I knew who he was from Lily talking about him and sending a few pictures.
Yeah.
And he walks over and he goes, "Hey, I'm the guy."
Yeah. Hey.
And I was like, "What do you mean you're the guy? Are you saying like you're the guy?" And he laughed, and I gave him a very firm handshake and said, "It's nice to meet you." Because we had talked through Lily about like each other's music interests. Because he was like, "Ask your dad if he knows who Bon Jovi is." And I'm like, "You can tell Austin that not only do I know who Bon Jovi is, but I went to their concert when Goo Goo Dolls opened up for him, and I sang a couple Bon Jovi songs in show choir. Your dad's awesome." So we had a few exchanges about music, and he likes 80s music and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, he's very, very, very nice kid. Met his parents, his mom anyway. She's very sweet. So yeah, all good. It's fun to joke about, but yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, whew.
Well, you know what you got to do
new chapters.
now. What you got to do now is you have to have that same conversation with yourself to figure out what it is you're going to call your daughter's boyfriends.
There you go.
Are you going to go with a little demeaning? Hey, squirt. Hey, sport.
Good question. Good question. I got to go through this again.
How would you have felt if he walked up and said, "Hey, brother"?
Oh, that would have changed everything. I'm like, you know our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ too? Do you want to? No. Yeah. Anyway, first formal, crazy. I posted pictures online, and people were like, "How is this possible that you're old enough to have a daughter going to her first formal?" It's crazy.
Well, when a dad and mom love each other,
Very, very much at a young age. Something else I experienced right after we dropped her off for the formal, and then you got to sit for like 4 hours and just like hope everything's fine till you go pick her up at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. We went to Wendy's, and I had the hot honey chicken sandwich.
how was that?
Have you guys heard about this?
No.
I've heard about it. I've not tried it.
Are we sharing the picture?
It's on.
Okay. If you're not watching on YouTube, this sandwich includes an all-white meat chicken breast, melted pepper jack cheese, 3 strips of Applewood smoked bacon, and this was the one that got me, crispy pickle chips. They're waved like waved potato chips, but they're pickles,
Right.
and they're hard and crispy like a potato chip. And then all of that's topped with hot honey and then served on a premium bun. Now, here's what's interesting. You get to pick your chicken style. So do you want the grilled chicken, the regular breaded chicken, or the spicy chicken? So I got it with spicy chicken.
Of course.
Amazing. You guys have to try this.
Okay.
The Wendy's hot honey chicken sandwich. Do yourself a favor, folks, and go get one. We are not sponsored by Wendy's.
It is just a matter of time until food-themed content starts popping up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be upset if we started with hot honey chicken sandwiches. I'm going to be honest.
Why not?
Well, I brought cake tonight. Maybe I just bring 3 of those next time.
We got to really think about that, though, because sometimes when I watch these food videos, as an example, I just posted on Instagram, if you watch the Try Guys, one of the Try Guys on YouTube is Keith. And Keith has videos called Eats the Menu. And he'll go to a restaurant and he'll order one of everything off the menu. Yeah. So in your Wendy's example, he wouldn't have picked which chicken. He would have said all of
3.
them, and then tried a bite or 2 of each. He has delicious hot sauces that my wife got me, and they're awesome. But one thing that I think about when I watch those videos is how long has the food been sitting there? Because it's very unfair to get like pickle chips or something crunchy, and then by the time you get to the breaded chicken, it can't be cold and like the breading falling off at that point. Like that's critical that you have it as fresh as possible.
Amen.
And so we just got to figure out the logistics. It's simply a matter of time.
Or we just do a vlog from Wendy's.
I think that's the only way to do it, because I've had the exact same thought you did. Like
we could do it tonight.
I've seen videos of guys saying, going around to different places and trying like the Popeyes chicken sandwich versus Chick-fil-A versus Burger King. And I always think to myself, whichever one got picked up most recently is going to win. Like, I feel like that's not fair.
Right. Maybe that would be the niche that we would fill. We would make sure that at all times the food is out extra fresh. And if it's not, we order another one, just to make the point that like, we're only doing this if we do it right.
That's right.
And we're not going to secretly in the background being like, yeah, we know this food's 2 hours old, but we're going to eat it and pretend like it's hot. It's not the same.
I have a food-related life hack, and then we can move on from
Yeah,
food.
Please.
Andrew Santino on Bad Friends said last week that he discovered that when you pop a bag of microwave popcorn, that very small slit at the bottom, you're not supposed to open it right away.
Right.
You turn it upside down over the trash can and shake out the kernels that did not pop through that little opening.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Good idea.
I never heard that.
I learned that last week on the internet.
That's a week old, Corey. Come on, man.
I was like, what? That's awesome.
I honestly had no idea until literally like a week ago, and somebody thought, and I was like, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now, he had a second one that I found less interesting, but I'll go ahead and say it. It wasn't in my notes, but like, you know how salt and pepper shakers will sometime have a little ribbed little bumps on the bottommost edge of the jars, like little jagged.
I've never noticed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Keep trying to think of the word.
Yeah, little. I don't want to say ribbed again. But that if you take the one that you plan on putting on your food, so it's facing downward, the open end is down. You take the other one, and where those things are bumpy, you just rub them together, and it gets an even distribution of either the salt or pepper on your food because you're using those little bumps to vibrate.
You're vibrating while slowly moving over the
Right.
food.
You're just
Instead of,
rotating them back and forth.
Instead
Like
of there's a bunch there and a bunch there
Yes.
and a bunch there.
yes, you're just
Yeah.
doing that over the whole thing.
I know what you're talking about now with the little.
Bumps.
Yeah, it's like if you opposed the two bottoms of the thing, it'd be like two gears fitting together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like a would you like some fresh ground pepper on your salad, sir? You're
Yeah.
just doing that, and then if you want the other one, you just flip them over and do the same thing.
See, when we watch these post-apocalyptic movies where like society has crumbled, those are the things you forget first. We're not even in post-apocalyptic society, and the inventors of salt and pepper have already let us down. Because we don't even know, whoever made those shakers, we don't even know like 100 years or 200 years later that was a thing. Like, I've never seen anyone ever do that at a dinner
I've
table.
never seen it once in my life.
entire life. Did we just grow up in the wrong part of the country?
No, I think this is evolution at work.
I think so. You know what happens in this part of the country? You have the Costco size salt and pepper that's just got the holes at the top, and you just dump it out like a Neanderthal. And you're like, well, way too much on it. Not going to waste my food. It's just going to be super salty tonight.
Yeah,
And that's what we do.
That's fun.
It's like a small bucket of salt and pepper.
yeah.
You just eat it, however much comes out.
I have a fun little opinion. Again, I think about everything. A lot of restaurants have gone to having the like disposable pepper mills at the table.
I've not seen these.
You've not, well, just like it. You can grind your own.
Okay, yeah.
It's a little pepper mill like that big.
But you said disposable.
They make disposable ones that are one-time use. You can buy them in a grocery store.
Like
right
you'd
now.
go to the grocery store and get like a McCormick one or something
Get a
that you'd
McCormick
use
one.
till it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It looks kind of like the same kind of container that like your spices come in, the little glass jars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing. Maybe they're refillable. I don't
Okay.
know. And so like I'm cool with that. I'm a believer in fresh cracked black pepper. But then a lot of places are doing the same thing with coarse sea salt, and I feel like, well, now you're just trying to be fancy.
Yeah.
Because that's freshly grinding your salt. That's not a thing that matters.
Because you know where you'd get instant pushback on that? You know who can't do that? Bob Evans.
Yeah.
Your Cracker Barrel. You can't.
It doesn't feel right.
Nobody
It
wants
doesn't
nobody
fit
wants Himalayan crushed pink sea salt at like
Excuse me?
Bob Evans.
Can you go back?
Yeah.
Did you say Himalayan?
Yeah,
Himalayan?
that's how you actually say
That's
it.
how you say it here.
Nobody wants Himalayan crushed fresh pink sea salt at Bob Evans and Cracker Barrel. It doesn't work. It's not Himalayan, it's Himalayan. Look it up. Anyways,
And is it Pirates of the? What is it?
What are you asking?
Finish the sentence. Pirates
Car-
of the.
Caribbean.
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 Okay.
You didn't like that I got it right. Anyways. And you certainly can't do it at Subway or a pizza shop. Like this has to be it needs to be places where people are pulling out Instagram to take pictures of their food.
No, I've certainly seen it in normal middle class restaurants.
I don't care for that.
Yeah. But they're not the fancy Himalayan salts though. They're just like regular sea salt that comes in a little grinder.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it. I've seen it enough to make me think Why are they putting that on the table?
Do you think the salts are like the olive oil? Like most of us are buying garbage olive oil, but it turns out there's actually like a huge difference between
That could be.
cheap olive oil and high end. Like the Himalayan pink kind is like the really good one.
You know, I saw a thing recently. What's the Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah.
He had a YouTube episode.
He's dead.
He is dead.
You're
Yeah.
2 for 2 on bringing up guys that are producing
what can I
content
say?
that are okay. Go ahead.
What can I say? He went to this like super swanky, awesome chef's place
Yeah.
in like San Francisco with all of his chef friends, and they ate for like 12 hours. This guy just kept bringing stuff out to him.
That's my dream.
The craziest experience that I've ever seen anyone go through concerning food. And everything was super amazing, super fancy, super impressive, stuff you've never seen before, including they brought out, I don't even remember what the dish was, but then like the server, after serving the dish, comes out with like a palette of salt choices, and they're just like little mounds of salt.
Wow.
And he's letting them take tastes of the salt to decide which one they want to use. And
So it is a thing.
it is a thing.
I bet it really
apparently.
does matter. Yeah.
But my guess is I've never tried any of those salts that they were tasting.
Yeah, we know.
I'm a kosher guy,
Yeah.
and I've done the sea salt thing before.
Yeah. I have at my house, I have the throwaway salt from McDonald's. That's what's at my house. So it's just there, whatever they put in their packets.
You got a packet drawer?
No, I'm sure I don't have good pepper, salt, or olive oil.
Well, I'm tapped out, gents. Do you guys have anything else?
This is it. We're done. 150.
You had a note on there, Kendall, but I don't know if you
I'm
want to
not.
save
I'm
it
not
till
worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
save it till next time. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun. Thanks for being along for the ride for 150 episodes. We really appreciate it. If you liked the top half of this episode, I know I did. During the break, we said how much we liked Answers from the Middle. But that only works if you reach out. So once again, I'll give you the deets for that. From the Middle at protonmail.com. That's protonmail.com, or call us at 614-383-8412.
Call or text. You can text us your
Call
story.
or text. Great. Just use Answers from the Middle in the subject line of your emails. And perhaps at the top of your text, we would love to answer your question and keep you anonymous if you prefer. Happy birthday, dude. Congrats on the promotion.
Thanks.
This has been a fun ride. I hope you guys are enjoying it still as much as I am. We haven't had conversations about when and if we stop this thing. So
No.
best I can tell, we're just going to keep going
Word up.
because it's
Yep.
fun and we like hanging out. So
Yeah, and one final ask. Please continue to share your favorite episodes with
Yes.
people that you think would enjoy. Social media is great at making sure people don't see our new content, just because they like to artificially throttle it. And so we've definitely noticed that people have shared our episodes, and we really appreciate it. So if you really laugh at a certain episode, find it really funny or amusing, and you know somebody who would enjoy something similar, shoot them a text with a link to the episode on your favorite social media or favorite podcast player, or to a YouTube link. We'd appreciate it.
cool.
Yep.
Sounds good. Are we on Sirius? Bye, guys.